how do you handle adversity, and are you intentional about being calm amidst adversity? Your thinking is clearer, and that's what I tell these white belts. Physiologically, our brain is able to think more critically when we're calm. The more calm we are, if we allow ourselves to get into that fight, flight, or freeze state and allow our adrenaline to totally take over, we're not thinking as critically as we could if we would stay calm. And so it's really about, again, part of emotional intelligence, right? Self-awareness, self-management, that self-management piece of being able to manage our adrenaline, manage our emotions. And even when this big giant gorilla of a guy, Olympic athlete, had my back, he took my back, I just had to stay calm. Now, I knew obviously at any moment he could submit me and tap me and stuff, but even just in the role itself, just staying calm. He was calm. He wasn't intense. Controlled strength, controlled power in control. And that's what it felt like. I just felt like this guy could snap me at any moment, but he was calm, he was calculated, he was methodical. He let me work my game, whatever little game that I have.
Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
Entrepreneurs, leaders, and influencers, what's up? I just trained with an Olympic athlete. My first Olympic athlete, I think, that I've ever trained with. And this was in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and it was an experience. So thank you all. If you're listening to this on our podcast, EQ for Entrepreneurs, or our Facebook, well, yeah, we've got Facebook as well, but our YouTube channel, EQ for Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for your support, your encouragement, and for joining me on this emotional growth journey. I'm hoping to, interview this Olympic athlete that I roll with on our podcast sometime. For those of you who don't know me, I'm 6'1". Right now I'm 240. I'm trying to lose another 40 lbs, another 40 pounds. And he's probably 6'4", 6'5", and probably 260, but muscle. So I have some extra real estate, some extra fluff going on, and he is muscle and an Olympic athlete in Greco-Roman wrestling, and also a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. And normally I am one of the biggest guys in the gym, and I don't mean necessarily muscle, of course, just size wise. 6'1" and 240 is pretty decent size. So yeah, I'm very rarely, there are just not many people that are larger than me. Not that there aren't big guys for sure that roll, there are, but just not as many. But anyway, so rolling with this guy, I was laughing like the first minute of our 6-minute roll. I literally felt like a 5-year-old rolling with this guy. Normally I am the bigger guy in a role, and to feel like I was, 5 foot tall and weighed 120 just never happens to me. And it was an amazing experience. And he was totally calm the whole time, totally methodical, calculating, and let me, like, I knew he was just letting me just try to maneuver around and get my body position where I wanted it, that kind of thing. If he was like legit trying, he would have destroyed me. I mean, he tapped me once, but he probably could have tapped me 10 times in our 6-minute roll easily. So the level and layers of skill, that's what I love about jiu-jitsu. There are so many layers and levels of jiu-jitsu that there's always something to learn. So if you're a learner, which I am, I love learning. It is like a drug to just know that, man, there's always something to learn. There's always someone who knows more than you. And it's I tell you, it's a great way to grow and build your emotional intelligence because of situations like these. And especially your first few years in jits, where it feels like everybody is better than you. Everybody, even, again, I used to say my first 2 years, and I, part of it was joking, but part of it was not joking, that I would get balled up by men, women, and children in jiu-jitsu my first couple of years. No kidding. Even with my size, 6'1", 240. Well, even then I was even bigger back then, but still, men, women, and children would just choke me out, tap me out on a regular basis because it's not, a lot of times it's not strength. Now, obviously, if there's equal skill, sure, strength becomes a factor. But like even my professor, who I'd love to interview on my podcast also sometime, Professor Marcelo Mota from Brazil, he's a 4th degree black belt. He probably's got to weigh maybe $160 soaking wet, maybe $160. And so I've got him by 80, probably 80 pounds, easy, 80, 90 pounds. And he just plays with me. It's not like, in fact, I just rolled with him the other day, and he was carrying on a no joke conversation while I'm trying to take advantage of what I think is him being distracted, and he just absolutely played with me. So the levels of skill. So again, going back to the emotional intelligence piece, like, to stay calm. That's my advice for 99% of the white belts that I roll with. That's what I'm telling them. Like, guy, you got to calm down. You got to relax. You got to calm down. And how true is that in adversity? How true is that in life? So many times we get ourselves worked up over situations that, may or may not be, life-threatening. And most of the time they're not life-threatening, but we allow ourselves to get spun up and worked up when we don't need to. Again, you can train yourself to be calm in adversity, which again is another reason why I love jits, because in fact, my first 2 years, because of my size, because I was bigger than most 99% of people that I roll with, I always just started on my back and let them get the dominant position. So and obviously, and the fact that I didn't know what I was doing. So the first 2 years, I just worked on my defense and became very comfortable in uncomfortable positions. So if they got my back, if they got what's called mount position, if they had me started to put me in a choke, a rear naked choke, whatever the thing was, I just forced myself to stay calm. And of course, the first month that I was going at Team Rock at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, my awesome professors there just said, dude, you got to calm down, because the only thing I knew was aggression. That's all I knew. I came from the 82nd, infantry officer, airborne, ranger, all this stuff. And like aggression is what I knew. football, had a football background, and you just can't. Aggression typically in jits will get you choked out. A lot. In fact, this guy, who's a Olympic wrestler, he said a lot of times what happens with wrestlers who start jiu-jitsu is a lot of them end up getting choked out for their first, season, so to speak, in jits, because wrestlers are super aggressive and they'll end up in a choke, I guess many times. So, that was another great lesson. So how do you handle adversity? How do you handle adversity? And are you intentional about being calm amidst adversity? Your thinking is clearer, and that's what I tell these white belts. Physiologically, our brain is able to think more critically when we're calm. The more calm we are, if we allow ourselves to get into that fight, flight, or freeze state and allow our adrenaline to totally take over, we're not thinking as critically as we could if we would stay calm. And so it's really about, again, part of emotional intelligence, right? Self-awareness, self-management, that self-management piece of being able to manage our adrenaline, manage our emotions. And even when this big giant gorilla of a guy, Olympic athlete, had my back, he took my back, I just had to stay calm. Now, I knew obviously at any moment he could submit me and tap me and stuff. But even just in the role itself, just staying calm. He was calm. He wasn't intense. It felt like, if you guys ever heard of a term called meekness, Mike, Echo, Kilo, meek is controlled strength, controlled power in control. And that's what it felt like. I just felt like this guy could snap me at any moment, but he was calm, he was calculated, he was methodical. He let me work my game, whatever little game that I have. Oh, and on top of that, so again, and he placed in the Olympics, I think maybe silver, bronze, something like that. And he's so humble dude. He's like, man, I'm rusty. I'm like, bro. Well, I didn't call him bro, but I was like, well, you do not, you don't feel rusty. So just a humble guy. And he's raising his kid, his children very intentionally. I guess it sounds like his oldest son sounds like a wrestling prodigy. Surprise, surprise. But anyway, it was an awesome experience. How do you make other people feel when they're around you? How do you make other people feel when they're around you? Are you aware of that? Are you socially aware enough to know how you make other people feel? Do you make people feel better, empowered, encouraged? How do you want to make other people feel? Those are just some of the lessons and thoughts and takeaways that I had from rolling with this Olympic athlete. Oh, and the fact that, he's still learning. He's still learning. So my professor is a 4th degree black belt, and this guy, his name is Adam Wheeler. I think I know he's a black belt, but I don't know if maybe he's 1st degree. I don't know, but he's still listening. When Professor Marcello gave him some pointers and some tips on what he could have done differently, he was, okay, can you show me that again? Okay, let me try that real quick, right? I mean, it was just neat that here's this guy, top athlete literally in the world, and still learning, still humble, still teachable. And would you say those characteristics, do you feel like you have those characteristics as well? Are you still asking questions? Are you still in a growth mindset? Who have you asked questions to recently? And what are you trying to learn? And how are you trying to grow right now? Anyway, just wanted to share this amazing, super neat experience with you guys. It was phenomenal. Again, hopefully I'll be able to get both my professor, 4th degree black belt, and this Olympic athlete, also a black belt, on the podcast so that you guys can hear from them and hear their mindset. Both of them, their mindset is it's just amazing. And at that level, it's got to be. And then another buddy of mine, John Roy, who's a purple belt, who's also another one of my coaches. He's a big guy, jacked, and he teaches me all kinds of neat stuff. He just rolled with, I think, a 6th or 7th degree black belt who's been like a 4-time world champion. And this other guy's been rolling for 30 or 40 years. So anyway, just the neat layers of mastery and life, guys, life. So hopefully you got something from this. Hopefully it was encouraging. Maybe ponder and reflect on some of those questions. And thank you so much for letting us be a part of your emotional growth journey. Listen, you matter. You're worth it. You are worth investing the time and energy to grow and heal in these areas. Unaddressed emotional issues do not get better over time. They compound over time. Unaddressed emotional issues do not get better over time. They compound over time. And if you don't deal with your emotional issues, your children will, your wife will, your coworkers will, your company will, your staff will. And again, you are worth investing in the emotional growth to heal and reach and maximize your full potential, because emotionally healthy leaders help heal other people emotionally.